Hello, good
Hi.
afternoon, everyone. We're glad you stopped by to join us. I'm here with Doris Ryan, and she was chosen as our volunteer spotlight for Volunteer of the Month for February of 2021. So congratulations, Doris. Yay.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're here with us. And Judy's with us. Judy Lane is here doing our technical work, and she is going to be helping us by recording today. So Doris, I wanted just to, other than congratulating you, I just wanted to, take some time and get to know you a little bit and let the folks from our congregation and our friends kind of get to know you as well. So maybe you could take a minute or two and tell us about, yourself and maybe even your UU history.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm mostly retired. I just work 1 day a week. I'm a psychologist, and I moved here to Tampa at the beginning of 2018 after looking around for some place that looked like a nice place to retire. I really like it here. I wanted to get out of the snow. I was living in Indiana, and I'd had enough of the snow. Um, as far as being a UU, I didn't really know anything about the denomination until one of my college roommates got married and went to her wedding in a UU church and spent some time, after the service kind of looking around because it looked a little different from what I had experienced sort of as a basic Protestant kind of background as a kid. And over the years, I've moved around quite a bit. I went to grad school in South Carolina, and then I lived in North Carolina, and then in Indiana. So I've been involved in churches in all of those places. Because of a family connection, I've also visited a lot of Unitarian churches. The most recent place that I've been associated with is Heartland Unitarian Universalist Church in Indianapolis, in one of the suburbs of Indianapolis. And it's a very, very small church, or it started from zero in, something like 2009. And I think it's growing a bit now, but that was my only experience being in a church that had maybe 12 people that were members when it started. And as a matter of fact, they're in sort of an industrial complex in a warehouse that they renovated. Some of the warehouses around them have renovated just so they'd look better next to the church. And mainly there, I mean, I felt like when I was working full time that I really didn't have a lot of time to give to it. So I was part of the hospitality crew there. And that was the main volunteer thing I did, although I also went to the book group a lot of the time. So that's when I came here, I just looked around. I visited the churches in Sarasota and St. Petersburg and Clearwater, as well as the Tampa church. And I really thought that I wanted to get a bit more involved, and that it would not be easy to get to Sarasota, St. Petersburg. Those other places are kind of too far away. And I like the church. It's the only UU church I've been to that's in a jungle, and I just love that it's like that. It's amazing the variety of UU churches. It's just, yeah.
Well, that's great that you've had an opportunity to visit so many places and be a part of so many different congregations. And I kind of resonate with what you're, when you're working full time, it's like, okay, I'll do my hospitality thing because that's what fits, right? That's what fits into our lifestyle. And I think that's one of the really great things about the ability to volunteer at our church is that, you just find the thing that fits for you.
Yeah.
Now I understand you're working on a pretty special project now, with the RUU church, related to healthy relations. And so I'd love if you could just tell us a little bit about that, because that's my understanding, that's kind of your main volunteer at this moment. And maybe you're doing some other things that
Mhm.
you can share too, but tell us a little bit about healthy relations.
Okay. There's actually two things and they kind of overlap. The one that started first is the Healthy Relations Team, and that's an ad hoc committee of 6 people that are meeting to develop um, a program for conflict resolution. Specifically, if people bring conflicts to this group of people, to this committee, how we have spent some time reading and learning about conflict resolution and how we might go about that. We've been doing a lot of practicing with each other for meetings and making up conflicts and figuring out what to do with them. And we have plans to write articles for the Weekly Blast or Dome Light. We're gonna, once the church is back meeting all together, we want to make a brochure. That was one of the things that we've talked about. I think we're going to turn our attention to that pretty soon, to that kind of, to the writing and informational kind of thing. The other thing is a pretty new project that from the board, wanting the church to address some issues in the church that happened between 2018 and 2020, when there were just was a lot of dissension and things didn't run smoothly, a lot of conflict. And what I'm trying to do with that, we have an outside consultant, Sid Charo, and Reverend Jim is also taking part in our meetings. And we've gathered people in the congregation who are interested in being sort of a planning group. I think we have something like 10 or 12 planners meeting with Sid and Reverend Jim to plan what kind of program we're going to do for the church. What are our recommendations and what would we do? Um, One of the main things in my mind is just to kind of cast a wide net so that people who are interested and want to be a part of this can be. So we just ask everybody who showed an interest. Um, and I sort of think of myself as the person who's just going to make sure it happens. You know, if something's kind of getting lost a little bit or falling by the wayside, I'm going to do what I can to get it back operating or on track again and coordinate it as much as possible. We're starting with a survey, and we've spent quite a lot of time on the survey, and it's just been put in a lot of places. You probably got emails about it, and it's in the week. It's on the website. It was noted in the Weekly Blast, and there'll be a little notice in the Dome Light next week for people to fill it out. We want to try to make it available until the end of next Friday, the end of March 26th, for people to express their opinions about their own personal opinions about what important issues there are in the church and what needs to be addressed as far as conflicts. There's some diversity about that, but there are some basic themes that seem to be showing up over and over. And I don't know, as I sit here right now, I really don't know what will come of it. I know that we're thinking workshops, we're thinking recommendations. I think Reverend Jim, as I've been talking to him a little bit, I think he's feeling he'd like to provide pastoral support, and also maybe some of his sermons will be on topics related. So the final shape of what happens is yet to be determined. But that depends on the survey results.
Well, Doris, I remind me, do you remember when you joined our church? What year you joined our church?
November of 2019.
So it really kind of speaks to me that you were this some I guess some of the challenges were here when you joined us, but that you really have kind of stepped up and kind of tried to take a leadership role in coordinating and bringing this topic to the surface so that conflicts can be discussed, and you guys are developing a way for them to be discussed in a positive way, so that people don't have to be afraid of bringing up their concerns. They can bring it up in a safe and healthy environment. And it just really thinks that probably speaks to the type of person that you are, wanting to be in a healthy, safe space and wanting to have that for all of us. So your contributions here are greatly noted and generously. You've been so generous, and we appreciate you so much in doing that. I can remember, I'm very fortunate. Doris is a part of my small group ministries, and I remember you kind of mentioning this kind of thing, quite a bit ago. So it must be something that you really have put some time and energy into, and that it's really great that when people have a special skill such as yourself to kind of help coordinate something like this, it's really important and great. So hats off to you. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I figured this is the kind of thing that I can do for the church, and it looks like there'd be a reason to have that happening now. My graduate degree was in clinical and community psychology, which was a lot of organizational development. There was a very strong organizational development component to the psychology department where I went to school. And it seems like all of my jobs have had both a clinical and community related component to them together. So this is when I was in Indiana, the last job I had, I traveled around to lots of different mental health centers, and I worked with teams of our clinicians on cases that they wanted to discuss. And I just got really accustomed to working with groups of people and teams of people to help them be more effective at what they wanted to do.
And that just aligns so nicely with the church,
Yeah.
being effective and coordinating and organizing our programming so that it touches everyone, and so that our social justice work out in the world can really move forward and make a difference. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I'm so glad the board, identified you as a spotlight volunteer for February, and that we're able to share this information with all of our listeners today. Can you think of anything else that you would want to share with us, or maybe another favorite volunteering experience that you've had, or anything that pops up for you?
I try to, since I've been here, I've been trying to, support the League of Women Voters and other organizations like that, because I feel like I have more time. It's getting close to where I'm busy enough now.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm seeing folks who are retiring. My mother just recently retired, and kind of seeing kind of how you build that balance, and you don't want to be with not too much to do, but not enough to do, but not too much to do. And so I wish you balance and success as you do that.
Thank you.
All right, well, this probably will wrap up our meeting, our little video. I just have to express our appreciation to you, Doris, for everything, and also to all our volunteers in our church. There's so many folks doing so many things and every little and big thing makes a huge difference for our congregation. So everyone, Doris is our spotlight today, but everyone is appreciated every day. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Judy, for stepping up into this role and taking on the videoing for us in the last couple of months. We appreciate that. So
Great, thank you.